Hey, y'all, it's your girl Sonja, and welcome back to She Say Sports. Today I have joining me sports writer from the New Orleans Advocate, Rod Walker. Hey, Rod, how are you?
Hey, Sonya, thanks for having me back on again. I appreciate
Hey,
it.
you're a regular, buddy. You're a regular. I'm going to get you to start paying the electric bill soon. No. How's everything going?
It's going good. Got through the weekend, so that's
Yeah,
good.
and I am so sorry. So you were working, and I totally forgot because I was working. I was at the like championship game, so I was just sitting waiting for the game to start, and I was writing some stuff down, and I was like, oh, let me reach out to Rod now. And so when I called you, ladies, if you're dating a sports writer or married to one, I mean, we're not dating. He's my friend, but I'm just saying he politely hung up on me immediately. He hit
It
the big
wasn't. It
no button.
wasn't that you. It
I was
wasn't
like,
that
oh
you
my God,
called.
it's the draft. I forgot.
It
I
wasn't just
totally,
that you called though. You called like the Saints were like on the clock. They were about to announce the selection, and that's the team that I covered. So I was like, and that was Saturday, so that was day three, I guess.
I
But
am
yeah.
so sorry. I was like, oh my God, I forgot. He didn't even, I knew what was going on. As soon as he hit that ignore button, I was like, oh, I forgot today that the draft is
It's
still
still
going on.
still going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and then now that you said that part, the Saints, that's your team. So my bad. But yeah, you will get hung up on a lot. So, but it's all good. It's all good. So, speaking of that, Rod, I know last week you were happier than a pig in slop, and because of the NFL draft. I know that was like you was like geeked. Were you not geeked last week or no?
I look forward to it. I don't know. I'm not as geeked as like fans are, and it's kind of funny when you're covering a team, and I cover the Saints. So most of my interactions, especially on Twitter, is with Saints fans, and for the most part, I mean they're never satisfied with the draft ever. As long as I've been here, they just
Really?
they just always. I mean, they're never satisfied with who the Saints pick. So I have to deal with that like year after year. So I do look forward to seeing who the Saints are going to pick, but on the flip side, I mean, it's just, dealing with the fans on Twitter who just are never satisfied gets kind of it gets kind of old.
Well, I'm a Bears fan, so I have a reason to never be satisfied for a lot of reasons. But this year, we're going to get into it. But this year has been an amazing. I can't. I'm still in shock. We'll get into that. I'll just wait to talk about the Bears. But definitely, there were some surprises this year as usual. But give me a quick synopsis of what you thought of the overall draft.
I think, I mean, you started at the top of the draft. I mean, those first few picks were kind of what you expected. I mean, this is a draft that, the big story of the draft was quarterbacks, and I guess we'll get into specifics on those guys here shortly. But, I mean, you have some really good quarterbacks and really good receivers in this draft. And, there have been years in the past when it's a defensive lineman or cornerbacks, but this year I think it was kind of a draft starting the quarterbacks and the receivers. And that was kind of the big thing in the draft to me is just how many of these guys, especially these quarterbacks, that these teams are hoping to come in and change the franchises.
Right, absolutely. So, of course, during every draft, there are winners and losers. And when I say winners and losers, I mean some draftees are better fit for certain teams. Because please believe everyone that was drafted were winners. Absolutely. Congratulations to all the young men that got drafted. So that's what I mean by that. There were definitely no losers. But who were the big winners besides my Bears, in your opinion?
And actually, the Bears, even if you didn't say that, and the Bears would have been one of my teams I would have said is one of the big winners. I thought they did really well. I think, and I read some draft rankings, and they had the Cowboys draft as really bad, and I'm not a Cowboys fan at all, so this is me being totally objective.
So
but
you just being petty?
I thought they did. No, I thought they did really good. I mean, I thought people ranking them low, but I thought they did really good. They drafted, I think it was 6 guys in a row that were defensive players. and that's clearly the side of the ball they needed help on. And I think they addressed their issues, and I think
Right.
that because their offense was really good when Dak was playing before he got hurt, so they didn't need to fix anything on the offense, and they realized that, and they didn't even touch the offense until the third day of the draft. So I think they did a really good job. Losers, I don't really like to use that word, but
right, and I know lack of a better word.
Yeah, but I think when I think about the Rams, and I'm just trying to think of teams who made picks, and I didn't really even remember their picks like by the weekend. I would say the Rams probably were pretty low on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think who else. Man, that let me think.
It's all a blur now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 259 guys. So,
right.
It is like a blur. Maybe Baltimore. I don't know if they did get a receiver. I remember out of Minnesota, but Baltimore is not known for being a team that really throws the ball well. But they did get Lamar Jackson, another weapon. But those would be the two teams I would say that really. I just didn't think had a really, really good draft.
I mentioned the Bears earlier, and let's just, of course I want to discuss Justin Fields because that's my team.
Yeah.
The 6'3", 227-pound quarterback began his college football career with Georgia in 2018 before transferring to Ohio State the following year. And at Ohio, Fields won several Big Ten Conference awards and won finalists for the Heisman Trophy as a sophomore in 19, and of course was drafted by the Bears in the first round of the 2021 NFL Draft, who traded up to select him, which was a shocker in itself. I mean, Rod, the Bears chose a black quarterback.
Yeah.
And which, they passed many great. What's the guy that?
Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, him and the young man that's in legal trouble in Houston right now.
Deshaun Watson, yeah.
Deshaun. They passed up on both of them.
Right.
And they weren't the first two, but I'm just wondering, what do you think has changed? Is the front office tired of losing? What?
Well, they're definitely tired of losing, but I think they kind of learned their lesson, and they made a pretty aggressive move to move up and get Justin Fields. I mean, they gave up quite a bit, but it was worth it. I mean, this is a team that, I saw something on Twitter the other day. It may have been a meme somebody put up. It was like, if Justin Fields retires tomorrow, will he be a top 5 Bears quarterback? And he probably is. Cause, you think about the Bears, they don't have a rich traditional quarterback, so I think they may have found their guy now, and they put a lot of eggs in that basket. But I think you can make an argument. Obviously Trevor Lawrence was going number 1, but I think Justin Fields very easily could have been the second quarterback chosen.
I was shocked that he didn't go earlier than he did, though.
Yeah, I am too, but I think it'll be one of those things where all those teams that drafted other quarterbacks before him, I think they're going to look back years from now, they're going to regret and say, man, we could have had him. But, it's always tougher on these black quarterbacks. They have to battle a lot of things that other quarterbacks don't have to. And, I got a chance to see Justin Fields in the college football semifinals because that was played here in New Orleans when they played Clemson, and he was phenomenal, and he was, he battled through injuries and still played. He's just a really tough guy. He can make all the throws. He has a strong arm. He can move around. I saw some clips of him just doing some of his locker room talks before the game. He seems like a really good leader, and he's confident. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder because he feels like he got, overlooked by all these teams. He can get, what was he, number 10, number 11? He was number 11, the 11th pick overall, and I think he'll come in with something to prove. And, the Bears kind of come out and say they're not going to just give him the job right away. I think Andy Dalton's probably going to be the starter when the season starts, but I wouldn't be surprised. And I don't know how long it's going to take him to learn everything, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's starting, sometime by the middle of the season, just like Jalen Hurts was last year with the Eagles.
So I didn't get a chance to see the first night, really none of it, because the first night I had to do chapter committee meetings, and that was like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And around the time I finally finished, I only saw the last part. Of course, Justin had just got picked by the Bears. So, but I heard that he looked a little perturbed. So I don't know if he was looking perturbed because it was so late in the first round, or he got chosen by Chicago. Have you heard anything?
No, I mean, I've seen people talking about that, and I've seen other people saying, that's kind of how, I think Justin's he's kind of a laid back guy in a way.
Mm-hmm.
He just, I don't know if he even shows a lot of emotion, and so I think people may have read a little bit more into that, but I definitely don't think he was disappointed about going to the Bears. I think these guys, I think Chicago's the team hadn't played very well, but it is a franchise that I think, he'd like to play for, so I don't think that was it. If anything, I think he may have been, disappointed about being overlooked. He thought he probably should have gone sooner, but,
Right.
Going 11th isn't bad, and that'll be his motivation.
Well, if that was the case, hopefully that was not the case about him not wanting to be in Chicago, but if it was, tighten up, Butterbean. We need you, and you're staying. I kept working on thinking he got traded. I was like, God.
No, I think he'll be fine. I don't think he'll not want to play with the Bears. I just don't see that. But again, I don't know. You never know what somebody's thinking. But yeah.
But I hope I want him to do well there. So overall, which team, and I'm going to give you 4 teams, which team out of these 4 teams do you think won NFL draft? Round 1 at number 2, Zach Wilson to the Jets. Round 1 at number 3, Trey Lance to the Niners. Round 1 trading up from number 20 to number 11, Justin Fields to the Bears. Or round 1, number 15, Mac Jones to the Patriots.
Ooh.
And they had other drafts, but these were like
top. I think immediately, I think Mac Jones with the Patriots, I just think that's going to be a really good fit for him. But I think Justin's a good. I think Belichick's going to put him in a good position where he's not going to have to do a whole lot. He'll do what he's able to do really well, which is he'll be able to manage the game, and they're not going to ask him to do it too much. He's just going to, just have to throw short passes, and I think he'll be efficient enough to do that. So I think as far as, and I don't know if he'll even win the job over Cam Newton, but I think he's a guy that could come in and that team will be pretty good right away. I think Justin Fields is going to be, I think if you ask me that question 5 years from now, I think Justin Fields is going to be the best guy of all of them. But I just think I just don't know if he's going to come in and, he's not going to come in and start right away and do all that. But as far as the immediate impact, I think Mac Jones first and maybe Zach Wilson second in New York. And as far as Trey Lance, I just think he's going to be the lower developing one out of all 4 of those guys. I just think he has more of he's the guy that's going to have to just he's probably the rawest one out of all those guys as far as being able to play in the NFL, I think.
Who, Trey Lance?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, you mentioned Mac Jones with the Patriots. Do you think that Cam is still, rehabbing and stuff and getting better? Do you think Cam will still have the number 1 position?
I don't know. I don't know how many guys. I can't remember how many games he.
What spot? Number 1 spot.
Yeah, I don't know how many games he started last year, but it was, he played a lot of the games, and I just, he played well. At times he had his moments, and he has the experience, obviously. But I don't know. I don't know if they even come out and say who's going to be the quarterback. So, or I don't know if they're going to have a position battle for like New Orleans is doing. I mean, I don't know if those guys are battling for the starting spot. Of they've already said Cam's going to get it or Mac's going to start. But I do think Mac Jones is going to be I didn't really like him as much as as most people did. I thought he had a lot of weapons around him in Alabama. But I mean, people liked him, but so he's going to get a chance to start for the Patriots, and I just think the Patriots is a team where I think he can do well there because they're not going to ask too much of him, I don't think.
And what about your Saints? Well, I know that's not your team. Your team and the Steelers. And yeah, what about your Steelers?
I like what they. I mean, they got Najee Harris, a running back from Alabama, who was, I thought he was the best running back in the class. To me, the Steelers' issues are up front on the offensive line, and they didn't really address that. And you get a running back, you get a really good running back and put him behind a bad offensive line. Then you no longer have a good running back. So I wish they had addressed the offensive line issues they have. But overall, I thought they did. Pretty good with who they got. As far as the Saints they didn't really have a bunch of needs. They needed a cornerback, and they drafted one. They needed a linebacker. I mean, they pretty much drafted the positions they needed, but I think they're still going to try to sign some veteran guys here before the season started. Obviously, Richard Sherman is a guy that everybody here is wanting just because they lost one of their cornerbacks last season. He's Janoris Jenkins is with the Titans now, so they need another cornerback. They drafted one who happened to go to the same. He went to Stanford like Richard Sherman, but people here are really kind of wanting Richard Sherman to sign here. The Saints don't have a lot of money, but to work with. But Richard Sherman's at a point in his career where he might not. He knows that he doesn't have as much leverage as he used to have, so he may be willing to come here for cheap. The Saints just hired the defensive backs coach who used to be Richard Sherman's coordinator when he was in Seattle. So they have a connection, and so I think. And Richard Sherman said the other day, I mean, the Saints were one of the 4 teams on his list, and it was the Saints, Raiders, 49ers, and I can't remember who the 4th team was. But the Saints were one of the teams on his list, so we'll see where he ends up. And if the Saints can get him, I mean, I think they're in really good shape.
Yeah, and I like Richard Sherman. Those are who do you know? You said Saints, Niners, Raiders.
Yeah, and the Raiders just signed a cornerback today. So I would probably put them out of the picture, but I can't remember who the 4th team was. I don't know if it was. I can't remember if it was Seattle or back to Seattle. I can't remember who it was, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I wish him well because I like him. So speaking of wishing well, this tickles me because this is our biggest rival. Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay, and Green Bay's front office is not having it. We know he's a franchise player, and he's made it clear he wants out. And, Rod, as you know, Aaron Rodgers is by far one of the greatest and most talented quarterbacks of all time, and he also has eyes like Jesus. I don't know how Jesus' eyes look, but they look so warm. And I don't like him, but when I see him outside of I'm like, oh, my gosh, his eyes, they're so blue. But anyway, he's definitely one of the greatest and most talented quarterbacks of all time. After Rodgers backed Brett Favre for the first 3 years of his NFL career, Rodgers became the Packers' starting quarterback in 2008. In 2010, he led them to a victory in Super Bowl 45 over the Steelers. Your Steelers.
You're going to bring that up, huh?
Hey, I'm just reading the facts, sir. Earning him the Super Bowl MVP. And he was also named Associate Press Athlete of the Year in 2011 and was voted League MVP by Associated Press for 2011-14 and 2020 NFL seasons. And I read all that because, his accolades, they are amazing. Do you think Rodgers is wanting to leave Green Bay? Does it have anything to do with Tom Brady leaving the Patriots and his division and winning a ring with Tampa, or does it have more to do with the Packers trading up to take Love last year in the number 26 overall in the 2020 draft?
Everything I've heard is saying that he didn't like the fact that they moved up to draft a quarterback last year. Not only did they move up, but they didn't even tell them they were going to draft a quarterback. But to me, that's not even. I don't really understand like why that would bother you so much. But I mean, he is Aaron Rodgers.
Rod, think about it. And not to cut you off, but he's a franchise player. I mean, that's just like, I'm sure when stuff was going on, let me go ahead and bring that up now. So, it was a report, Bleacher Report reported earlier that Aaron, a text was leaked. And he called the Packers GM, I can't pronounce Brian's last name. Brian, can you say it? Good techness? I don't know. But anyway, Packers GM Brian G., he called him Jerry Krause. And if you all don't know who Jerry Krause is, that was the GM for the Chicago Bulls, and that was during Michael and Scottie Pippen's era. If you don't know about him, go watch The Last Dance documentary that came out on Netflix last year. But that's just like if they was, getting guys to come in and they didn't tell Mike.
Right.
That would have been a problem.
I think it's been a problem. Oh, I agree with that, but I just don't know if it'd be enough to make me want to leave. But I mean, because he played all through last year, but I mean, he also was the MVP. So I mean, he came out and showed how good he was.
Exactly.
Not that he had anything to prove, but I mean, he came out and had another MVP season, and I mean, now and everybody who I've seen talk about this, they make it seem like that he's really willing. That he's just not coming back. So I mean, they think that he's just dead set on that. So Green Bay's going to be, they have to figure out what they want to do. They're going to either end up having to trade him or they're going to just lose him and he'll just sit out. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So what teams would be a good fit for Rodgers right now? What teams do you see him?
So a lot of people are speculating Denver. But I just don't. If he goes to Denver, he's not going to win a Super Bowl. They're in the same division with the Chiefs. They don't have nearly enough to get past the Chiefs in that division, let alone winning the whole AFC. I do think Miami will be a good fit for him. They have some really good pieces, I think, and so I think they will be good. I think the Saints will be good for him, but. And it's funny, Brett Favre said that he actually, I don't know if you started thinking, Brett Favre, and he said he texted Aaron Rodgers. And one of the things Brett asked him was, hey, are you going to be, does this mean I'm going to see you in a Saints uniform one day? And Aaron said, no, I don't see that happening at all, or something like to that effect. So I don't think the Saints are even in the picture, but I think it will be a good fit for him just because the pieces they have around, he could just step in right where Drew Brees was. And obviously, Sean Payton does a really good job with quarterbacks in the offense. He'd be you put Aaron Rodgers in New Orleans, I mean, they probably become the favorites. I mean, that's how good he is with this team. So, and I mean, these other teams, I mean, they've drafted somebody, so I don't know. I don't know if there are a lot of teams where he could go. I don't think there are a lot of teams that need a quarterback where he could go. And and they step in. So yeah.
You mentioned Brett Favre texting him, and I thought about when Aaron first got into the league. When he came to Green Bay, Brett, treated him kind of bad, and he was like, I don't have to teach him, to get him ready for when I leave.
Right.
But he didn't do Love like that. Which because he knows how it feels.
Right.
So,
yeah.
That was pretty cool. But I'm glad that they are, like cool now. It's just,
right.
I guess it's just a man thing.
Yeah.
But
I just something tells me that I feel like there's more to it than just the Jordan Love thing. Like I don't know if there are some other decisions the front office made that he didn't like, or it just seems like there's more to it than that to me. But,
yeah, you may be right. So. Well, we would definitely be keeping up with this story as it develops. So, last week after the NFL draft, Jackson State University's football Coach Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Coach Prime, tweeted, "There were 259 picks in the 2021 NFL draft. Not a single draft pick featured a player from an HBCU, rather." And then he said, "And we have the audacity to hate on one another while our kids are being neglected and rejected. I witnessed a multitude of kids that we played against, which means during, his tenure at the SWAC, against that were more than qualified to be drafted. My prayers are that this won't ever happen again. Get your knife out of my back and fight with me, not against me." What are your thoughts on what he had to say about that?
I think, well, first of all, let me just go back to the SWAC number. No players got drafted. Because I went back and just kind of looked up, not just this year. I want to see, like, how this trend has been. And last year, there was only one guy from an HBCU that was drafted. And actually, your Chicago Bears drafted him, and that was Latavius Simmons. He's an offensive lineman from Tennessee State. The Bears drafted him in the 7th round. He didn't even play in a game this season. This past season. But he was the only one last year. And then the year before that, it was 4 guys. 2018, it was 3 guys from HBCUs drafted. And one of those guys was Darius Leonard, who played at South Carolina State. Played with the Colts. He got Rookie of the Year his first year. So, he's a really good player. But so this trend is, this is kind of where it's been the past few years. But, obviously with 0, it really stands out this season. And Grambling had an offensive lineman who, obviously I'm in Louisiana, so I, kind of keep up with all the Louisiana guys. But
right.
Grambling had an offensive lineman, David Moore. He went to the Senior Bowl, played really well. He got, like, Player of the Week in practice that week, as they were competing in front of these pro scouts. He was a guy that I had no doubt that he was going to get drafted. And he didn't get drafted. He ended up signing, as an undrafted free agent with Carolina. He was going to get his shot. But I was shocked he didn't get drafted. But there were some other guys there was a linebacker from Baton Rouge who went to Alabama, Dylan Moses. He didn't get drafted. There was a running back from New Orleans, Puka Williams, who was really good. I covered him in high school, and I just knew he would get drafted. So, I don't think these NFL teams, I don't think they're anti-HBCUs. I think NFL teams are going to try to get the best players for their teams. So at the end of the day, they want to win. That's all that matters. But I just think these HBCUs, they have to get these guys in front of these scouts. And, they're starting a Legacy Bowl next year here in New Orleans where they'll get some of the best players. And they'll get all the best players on HBCUs, and all the pro scouts will be on the campus of Tulane. They get to watch these guys for a whole week. But, these guys are slipping through the cracks, and it's unfortunate. And, they're not getting maybe the exposure that they need. And I think Deion, what he's saying, he got to get all these coaches on the same page with him and, just realize that it ain't about the individual teams. It ain't about Deion. It's all, about all of them kind of working together. Yeah, it's about the kids, right. And that's what Deion was saying, and that's what, he was absolutely right about it.
And, as you know, the NFL had an HBCU combine for the players in April. However, none, like we mentioned, none were chosen. And Coach Deion feels that HBCU players should be seen at the actual NFL combine. And that will make a difference. Why do we even have a separate combine for the HBCU players? Why is that? Is that like just to throw why?
Yeah, that's what you said. I think you kind of throwing a bone.
Like, here you go.
Yeah. And that's been some. Because that was the lineman at Alabama State a few years ago, Titus Howard. That was 2019, I guess. Mm-hmm. He was at the NFL Combine. I went to that one in Indianapolis. I was in Indianapolis, but he was at that one. He performed really well. Ended up getting picked. Some they get picked. No, I shouldn't say they, like it's a lot of them, but you have to really, like, I don't know what the selection, I don't know what the NFL does as far as determining it, but you have to really stand out, and I think it also just kind of says how hard it is to make it in the NFL, period. And so, I don't know. I wish they didn't have to have a separate combine, but I think for now that's what it's going to take, and hopefully enough of them can be seen, and they'll be like, oh, okay, this guy is really good, and then some start to get drafted. Then they'll have the recruiting out, and I think eventually it can grow, but it's just going to take some time. I wish we can go back to 1975 when the scouts were, burning up the highways trying to get to Jackson and Norman and Ida Bend and all those places.
You're right.
It's not where it is right now.
People can say what they want to say, but I truly believe Deion has been placed at JSU for a time such as this.
Yeah.
And that's to level the playing field for our HBCU players, And
that's what it's going to take. Yeah, I mean, the level field needs to be, the playing field needs to be level, because right now, if you're a high school kid and, you look at the facilities at some of these other schools and these kids may not have the same facilities as HBCUs, and I think he knows that to level the playing field, you're going to have to, some of the facilities are going to have to be upgraded, and
right.
He understands that. I listened to him talk at the Orange Blossom Classic press conference earlier, and that was one of the things he kind of talked about is, just kind of leveling that playing field, and it'll take a collective effort from all these coaches.
Absolutely. That's true. And because they absolutely deserve the same opportunities as the other kids do. So
right.
We will see how that goes. And, but let's go to the SWAC real quick. As you know, spring season started February 21st, and it ended this past Saturday, May 1st, with Alabama A&M winning the SWAC championship against the surprise underdogs, UAPB. That's who I was actually rooting for. What is your overall grade for this first season of spring football?
I think it's funny because I watched all the spring games up until the championship game. I couldn't watch it just because the draft was going on.
Right.
I couldn't even flip channels
to
watch
any
of
it.
Right. So,
but ignore my call. I'm sorry.
Right. I did do that, yeah. But I really enjoyed the season. I think, I don't know, I've always enjoyed SWAC football anyway, but it just gave me a chance to really watch it more than I ever have. Getting a chance to watch, I don't even know the Alabama A&M quarterback's first name, Key, whatever it is. Akil Glass.
Yeah, I love him.
He is really good, yeah. And he's a guy that I had heard about him, but I never got a chance to watch Alabama A&M on TV. But I did this year, and
right.
I watched when they played. That was the Jackson State game, actually. So yeah, I saw him play Alabama State as well. He's a really good player, and so just seeing him, just some really good players. And I'm hoping that what Deion has brought. I'm saying Deion, and I don't know what the coverage would have been like this spring if Deion wasn't there. So I'm giving him credit for it, but maybe they would have put these games on TV anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it was a start of something, and I'm hoping they can build off of this season, and I'm really looking forward to see what Deion does, especially in the fall with all the guys he recruited. We know how great this recruiting class was, but not just him. I think other coaches are also going to have to. Yeah, but the SWAC season is going to be really fun in the fall.
I know Coach Maynard at the press conference Saturday, which is Alabama A&M's coach, he actually mentioned that they can celebrate for a little while, but it's going to be kids entering the transfer portal because, he was like, believe it or not, it's going to be teams trying to get them by Monday.
Right.
And so the exposure that they received, Glass, he actually graduated this past week or so. He graduated not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. So but he's still going to play. I think because he has, because of COVID, they have another year or so.
Right.
So he's coming back. But it's just going to be. I give it a B+. I give it an overall grade of a B+, and only because COVID, stopped quite a few games.
Yeah, right.
And so, but for the most part, the SWAC office did an amazing job. Hats off to them. They did a great job. Commissioner McKellen Dr. Jason Cable, and the rest of the team. They did a great job. So
yeah, I got a chance to talk to to McClellan back in I think it was back in August or July maybe. This is when they first decided they were going to go to the spring, and he was one of the guys who was just he was like a visionary, I guess is a good word to say. And they were thinking ahead of everybody else, and they were one of the first conferences to make that decision, and I think it ended up working out well when they got to.
It really did. I read that article you did on him. It was a really good article, and I saw him Saturday. He came up and hugged me, and I don't know if he thought I was somebody else. I don't know, but I introduced myself, and I told him, I said, I want you on the show soon. So I'll definitely be getting him on the show just to talk about this past spring and the upcoming fall season.
Right.
So yeah.
So he's trying to be all modest. I don't know if he thought I was somebody else. No, he saw you and he hugged you.
No, I don't. I was like, hey, Commissioner, I don't know if you knew me. But you don't have a mask.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, but you're so silly. But yeah, so but I'm looking forward to the fall season. I'm excited. Really excited. Just we got 12 teams now, so this is gonna be really interesting to see how everything goes. And
the first game out the gate, it starts. You got Jackson State and FAMU straight out the gate. So that's
right. And then the next week is Tennessee State. With Eddie George. So now, have you even gotten a room for Miami? We've talked about this several times on the show.
I have not, but actually one of my
one
of my friends, he just texted me last week, and he was talking about how the plane tickets were still real cheap. He just got his plane ticket last week.
What are you waiting on?
I'm gonna get it.
Oh my gosh! At least book the room, sir.
Right. Okay.
At least book the room.
Yeah.
But and are you gonna try to come to the Tennessee game in Memphis?
I probably won't come to that one.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't gonna go, but after Eddie took the job, I'm like, it's no way because that's gonna be epic. There's no way I can miss that game.
Yeah.
That's history right there. So I will be there for sure. But yeah. So all right. Well, Rod, thanks again for joining me today. I really appreciate it. It's always a blast talking with you. And as always, please tell the listeners how they can follow you on social media and catch your articles.
On Twitter, I'm at Rod Walker NOLA. And my article's on NOLA.com, which is our website. And on Facebook, I'm just Rod Walker, but that's not work related usually. But
what about Instagram?
Instagram is rwalker1906. So hard to keep up with all these. Yeah, Instagram is rwalker1906.
But you said, and did you tell them how to get your articles?
Yes, you can read them on NOLA.com.
Okay, NOLA.com. Okay,
yeah,
NOLA.com.
Yeah.
And you can follow me at She Says Sports on Facebook. She Says Sports 23 on Instagram. I have a Twitter, but I don't. No, I'm gonna get more involved this summer. I promise. But yeah, those are my handles, and that's my show for today, guys. Until next time, this is Sonja with She Says Sports, and I'll see you on the radio.